Live from our studios in Kingstown, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. It's your favorite Thursday night show, Up Late with Sehon Marshall. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the host of tonight's show, Sehon Marshall.
Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Wonderful Thursday evening to you, wherever you are. Welcome to tonight's edition of your favorite show, Up Late with Sehon Marshall. Tonight is Thursday. It's the 11th of December, and I am so happy that you joined me this evening. We have an exciting show ahead of us, and I really encourage you to just sit back, relax, and now that you're relaxed, please share the live. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to share the live as I would do as well, so that other individuals can join this evening's program. So let me share. I am about to share. How do I share again, boy? Yes. Share to WhatsApp. Yes. Very good. And I'm sending to a few friends of mine. So you can do that as well. Of course, you know how it goes, right? And then I would go. You know how it goes, right? We're still sharing, we're still sharing, we're still sharing. We are still sharing. Just give me a few more seconds there so I can share again. Let's go here. Here. And then you go here. Here. Hold on. Link. Put the link there. Paste. Done. Alrighty. TUNE. So I'm giving you a chance just like I am doing it. And making sure that I share it to all of my social media as well, just like I'm asking you to. So those of you on Facebook, just go on Facebook and you find it, you just share it on your page, and I will thank you very much for that. Where are we? Up late. Up late. There you are. There you are. Because I've already shared it on my tune in now. And so those of you who are watching, you know we do this every time, right? I allow you to tune in. Right, so I've shared it on all platforms, and I'm asking you as well to share. And you know our program is interactive, so you are free to comment as you wish. Now, I want to thank you for your audience last week, Thursday, because so many of you logged on that you made our show last week, Thursday, one of the most watched episodes ever in the history of Uplift with Sehon Marshall. This program has been running since 2018, for those of you who didn't know, but it was off air for a while when I was press secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister. Last year, when I moved to the UK to attend law school, I started it back, and I've tried to keep it as consistent as I can. But you guys know that during the elections campaign, it was off for a while as I focused on the campaign. Now, the elections are over, and I'm bringing it back and hoping to be as consistent as possible every single Thursday night, unless something beyond outside of my control happens, that it can come. All right, so please, thank you so much for choosing Up Late with Sehon Marshall, for choosing to stay up late with Sehon Marshall every Thursday night. And thank you so much for sharing it so that other people can log on. Now, I keep saying to you, there might be many of you who have friends, know of individuals who do not have Facebook, and they would love to see or be a part of this program. Tune in, watch it, and what have you. Let them know that we are also on YouTube. All right, we have a very active YouTube channel. We have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube to our channel. So let them go to YouTube. You know, you do not need an account on YouTube. So once they go to the YouTube, they'll be able to follow the program every single Thursday night without having to create an account and log in. All right, so just let them know. Okay, you're not on Facebook. I hear you. You don't want to be on Facebook, but the show is also on YouTube every single Thursday night, and you could log on there and be a part of the show. All right, so let's get started. Last week, I had a guest on who gave her own impressions of the recently concluded general elections 2025. I reserved my comments about the elections, and I've waited deliberately to hear all of the major statements from both leaders of the two main political parties. I heard the Prime Minister, Dr. Friday, at his swearing in, as well as the swearing in of the Cabinet of Ministers here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I heard the leader of the opposition, Dr. Gonzalez, as he spoke on the 29th of November, the Saturday, and then at a press conference yesterday, where some journalists asked questions. Having heard the major statements of both leaders, and with just about 2 weeks since the new government has taken over, I have decided that I am going to weigh in on the elections, not in an analytical way to try and explain to you what happened during the elections, because ultimately what happened is the elections were held, people voted NDP, they won, Labour lost, NDP's government. In a nutshell, you could explain it how much you want, and everybody has an opinion. I ain't getting into that, at least not tonight. But I've been hearing things in the media. I've been reading things on social media. I've refrained from commenting in either spaces since the elections. Have not been on radio, either Star Radio or Boom Radio that I was on, and I've not commented on Facebook. I've kept my thoughts, my comments to myself, but I've been observing and I've been hearing. Now, let me say this. It is no secret that I am a member of the Unity Labour Party. I support the Unity Labour Party. I supported the policies of the government. Now, previously, I worked for the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And as an employee of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, my role was to ensure the execution, the implementation of government's policy. I served as a diplomat, first in the Consulate General of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in New York, and also at the Permanent Mission to the United Nations. And in both instances, I was part of the implementation of government's foreign policy. Later, I returned home and I served as the press secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister. And my role there was simple: amplify what is coming out of the office, the policies of the government as articulated, as written, whether it's written or spoken by the Prime Minister. And I did that. Now, I even noticed that since the elections, my name has been popping up in people's posts. And it's interesting because it's being mentioned, oh, Ralph and Sehon and this and that and so on and so forth. And it's flattering. It's flattering. But as flattering as it is, I do not speak officially for the Unity Labour Party in my capacity here. When I was on Star Radio, it's the radio of the Unity Labour Party, I spoke on behalf of the Unity Labour Party. When I called in on Boom, I called in on Boom to present the policies of the Unity Labour Party, which was in government. This was because, as a member of the party and as someone who supported the policies of the government, I took the time to understand the policies of the government. And by and large, I agreed with the policies of the government and supported them. And it was easy because I believed in them, because I supported them, to go out there and articulate those policies to Vincentians, helping them to understand what the policies were and how they fit into the broader picture of national development. But at no point, and for those, this might disappoint some of you, but at no point was I ever a part of the leadership or the inner circle of the Unity Labour Party. The Unity Labour Party has its leadership elected. They have the circle, different circles. For those of you who think I'm there as an advisor, I am not. I never was. As press secretary at the office of the Prime Minister, I was never invited to a cabinet meeting, and I was there for about 4 years, 8 months. So I don't know what the workings of the cabinet are. I've never experienced it. I've never heard the deliberations. What would happen is, after cabinet meeting, I would get information. I would bring them to the public as is required. On a party level, I was never invited to the central executive, which is the central decision-making body of the party. Not as an observer, not as a participant. There are individuals within the party with offices who attend these meetings and who divulge information after these meetings. I was never one of them. So I'm not a part of the leadership. I'm not a part of the decision making of the party. Even going forward, the leadership is currently making its decisions going forward. Quite frankly, I may not be considered part of what going forward looks like by the leadership or by elements in leadership, and that's okay. The point is, that doesn't stop me from being a member of the party, and if I believe in the policies of the party, if I believe in the programs as proposed by the party, I can speak, and speak boldly to the general public. So tonight, when I speak, understand that Sehon Marshall is speaking as Sehon Marshall, not as a speaker on behalf of the Unity Labour Party. These are my comments and my comments only. The just concluded elections here in St. Vincent and Grenadines have seen the most seamless transfer of power since 2001. I did mention to you that I listened to the statements of the Prime Minister, Dr. Godwin Friday, both at his swearing in and at the swearing in of ministers. And he struck the right tone. He said the right things. It's kumbaya, my Lord, let us win together. I saw individuals lamenting that Dr. Gonzalez didn't congratulate him. I saw so many different things about how bitter Dr. Gonzalez is as opposition leader. I see comments on Facebook, I hear comments on radio that, the government has only been there for 2 weeks. What do you expect? And you're criticizing and you're telling them how to run government. I hear all of these comments. And I listen and I reflect. Well, I would think that someone who has run government for 25 years or 24 years is in a place to offer advice on running government. That's the first thing. Whether you like him or not, and I realize that there's so much dislike that exists out there for Dr. Gonzalez that people they are beside themselves in finding criticism. And I'm wondering what life would be like for the next 5 years for those who are so filled with hate and venom for Dr. Gonzalez. So I continue and say, without any fear of contradiction, that the 2025 general elections have been the most seamless in its transfer of power and the return to normalcy of our society. And for those of you who are ready to come at me in the comments, let's go down memory lane. Let's go down memory lane. After the 2005 general elections, the NDP weren't happy. And various fractions within the NDP started doing different things and calling for action. And I remember very vividly, at that time, the Office of the Supervisor of Elections was located downstairs, the old ministerial building, which housed then the Ministry of Telecommunications, just behind what was then the NCB, where the registry is now. There's a parking lot there. And the supervisor of elections was Mr. Rodney Adams, a man from Chateaubriand, a headmaster I respect, a stalwart of the Methodist Church. And I remember vividly that for years, Frank De Silva, Patches Knights, and others, sometimes Mr. Eustace would be there, harassed Rodney Adams for years. They rang bell in his face every time he showed up to work. They insulted him every single day for years. They accused him of stealing, of fraud in the elections. This was 2005. Walk with me. Walk with me. In 2010, different supervisor, same antics. This time, the angst of the NDP was turned on another supervisor, another former educator, a stalwart of another church, but this time the Anglican Church, Sister Sylvia Finley Scrub. And elements within the NDP harassed her and abused her, going in front of her office on Bay Street every single day. Again, accusing Sister Scrub, Sister Finley, of all sorts of wrongdoings. The New Democratic Party never accepted the results of 2005. They didn't accept the results of 2010. Never accepted the results of 2010. They protested. No one congratulated the ULP on winning the elections. No one congratulated Dr. Gonzalez as winning the elections. No one accepted the voice of the people as the voice of God after either of those elections. They agitated and agitated and agitated for the entire period until the next elections. So, enter 2015. Who can remember the very next day when they were having the recounting in Layou? A mob wanted to storm the police station in Layou. There are videos of Mr. Eustace, then opposition leader, in the face of Sir Louis Hilton Straker, aggressively at the police station. Again, accusing the electoral officials of, again, fraud and stealing the elections. I remember this was when the very famous statement, "Take your licks like a big man," was made. And of course, following that, you had the usual harassment of the electoral officials. You had the usual harassment of Sylvia Finley. People actually camping out at the office of the supervisor of elections. Labor thief, election thief. 2005, 2010, 2015. No congratulations. No acceptance of the results. No acceptance that the voice of the people is the voice of God. No wishing the government well. As a matter of fact, there were threats of continued agitation throughout. keep in mind, keep in mind that I think I would need my producer to block some of these people who are swearing on my. I allow people to interact and as much as possible, but not like this. And Doug, you can tell me exactly what the lie is. Tell me exactly what the lie is because you're here. Tell me exactly what the lie is. And all of this I'm saying, evidence is there. Everything I'm saying, the evidence is there. But Doug, over the years, I've watched you, my brother, and honesty is not something that you're compatible with. And I'll say this straight to you, my brother, straight to you. No, no. It's funny, but he's on my live. That shows how irrelevant I am. I guess you don't know the meaning of the word. Anyway, yes, so I continue. In 2020, we had another election. And again, the NDP lost. This time, a mob of NDP supporters went up to Government House to block the road to prevent the swearing in of the Prime Minister. I know that individuals attending had to use a different route because they were there protesting and making noise and blocking the road so that no one can pass to get to Government House so that there can be the swearing in of the Prime Minister. Again, no congratulations, no accepting of the voice of the people being the voice of God. No congratulations to Dr. Gonzalez. No kumbaya, let's heal together. Nope. And for those 5 years, between 2020 and 2025, you had a number of things. Protests during COVID, the injuring of the Prime Minister by one of the member of the mob brought to town by the NDP. All those things happened. I'm just relaying the facts as they have been over the years, over the 2005 elections, the 2010 elections, the 2015 elections, and the 2020 elections. We've now had the 2025 elections. The elections were fought. The NDP won. On Saturday, Dr. Gonzalez came out, congratulated the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, congratulated those who ran the electoral process, said the people have spoken. The same people who refused to accept any of the previous 4 elections now are switching up. Switching up. Oh, he's bitter. He hasn't congratulated Dr. Friday. He hasn't congratulated this. He hasn't congratulated that. Where was that energy over the last four elections? Where was it? Now, and I'm speaking to reasonable people here, not the others. I am not saying for 1 second that there's anything wrong with Dr. Gonzalez congratulating the new government or the new Prime Minister. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is you guys are not in any position to expect it, let alone demand it. You are in no position to expect it, let alone demand it. If Dr. Gonzalez wanted to say congratulations, go right ahead. If he chose not to, the individuals who for 4 previous elections never accepted a single one, always harassed, abused, insulted electoral officers, cannot be the ones to now expect and demand certain responses and reactions. I'm just bringing things and laying them out as they are. Laying them out as they are. Now, what has happened is that the roles have changed. Individuals who criticize the ULP from day one, keep in mind that when the ULP won in 2001, the first thing that they said was, it's not going to last 6 months. Then they said it's not going to last a year. Then it became one term papa. He was only going to last one term. Roles have switched. I guess now, supporters of the ULP should be free to go. NDP is going to meet its demise. They're not going to last 6 months. They're not going to last a year. They're going to be one term. But that is anger. That type of commentary angers those who perpetuated it previously. My how things have switched. My how things have changed. And so those who criticize the government from day one, accusing it of stealing, accusing it of corruption, and failing to accept elections are now saying, oh, but we've only been in government for 2 weeks and you start criticizing. You started from day one. You started from day one. The roles have now switched. And so the fact that you're now in government, you expect what? No criticism? Well, I commend the Unity Labour Party and its supporters for accepting the results of the elections, which is the first thing that is different than anything we've seen before. It is different than what we saw in 2020. It is different than what we saw in 2015. It is different than what we saw in 2010 and different than what we saw in 2005. And I know no ULP supporter is going to the office of the supervisor of elections to harass and cuss and berate any electoral office in this country. So that's the first positive thing that I see that's different between elections won by the NDP and elections won by the ULP. The response of the NDP to an electoral defeat repeatedly, and the response by the ULP to its electoral defeat. So the roles have changed. And with the roles changing, the NDP is now government. And they are going to be the ones under scrutiny. And already, it appears that many of their supporters aren't willing to accept scrutiny. They aren't willing to be held accountable. They aren't willing to hear criticism, even though that's what they have done for the last 24 years. So, immediately following the elections, individuals are saying, like what was said when the ULP was in office, you made certain promises. Where are the deliverables? And already, you are hearing all sets of hanky-panky and so forth and him and hawing. As a matter of fact, it seems that all of a sudden, context matters. All of a sudden, interpretation matters. Context never mattered before, it seemed, but it matters now. And so now, when you critique the NDP, those who support the NDP go, oh, but what's the context? The biggest one so far, and honestly, I am not engaging specifically in these things because you know what? It's what Vincentians voted for. So, they were promised a double salary. According to Fitzbramble, a double salary from the janitor to every single public servant would get a double salary in December, which is this month. You go back to the press conference where President of the Public Service Union endorsed the NDP, And he proudly echoed that this December will be historic in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because the government will offer public servants what he referred to as a double bubble. Now, those of us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines understand the context. Whenever Flow or Digital gives a double bubble, what does that mean? It means that whatever you buy, you get the matching amount free. So if you buy $10 credit, you get an extra $10 credit. If you buy $20 credit, you get an extra $20 credit. Double bubble. And so you had Boucher sitting next to now Prime Minister Friday, telling public servants, listen, y'all get 3% last time. And so somebody who worked for $1,000, you get $30. Compare that now to over $1,000, he said, meaning a double salary. It's documented, it was said. But now you're hearing that, oh, that was not said, or that was not the intention, or what we meant was a bonus on your salary. And, as expected, there are people who are out there defending it. Because, guess what? Context matters. Let's explore the context within which it was said. Context matters. I would love for public servants to be given a double salary. The NDP promised to address what they saw as a cost of living crisis. They put that message to the voters. The voters responded positively, and I would love for them to come through with that for the electorate. You see, I want the New Democratic Party to govern. I want the New Democratic Party to govern the way they promised to govern. I want the New Democratic Party to have the successes that they promised Vincentians that we would have. Because I believe if the New Democratic Party succeeds, St. Vincent and the Grenadines would succeed. And if St. Vincent and the Grenadines succeeds, I would succeed. So I want you to govern. But there has to be the understanding and the expectation that there is an opposition, and the opposition has a role. And the role of the opposition is to hold you accountable. And you can't get upset because of that. You can't get upset because the opposition says, you promised a double salary, now we're talking and denying that you did, but you did. Because that's the reality. You see, when I used to call on Boom, I always made the point, come after Wumia say, not me. Come after Wumia say, not me. So the individual who is on my blog is sure that I am producing, who comes on to say how irrelevant, outdated, archaic, and dinosaur I am, clearly doesn't understand what he's writing, he or she or it is writing. Because you're here. See, this is how I treat irrelevance. I ignore it. So if that person, for example, does a live or goes on his page and makes a comment and call me name 50 times, you know how much time people call me name? You know how many posts and lives me name call up into? You know how many times my sisters, whether it's Evelyn or Jennifer or whoever, would send me snippets, other people send me snippets of somebody calling up my name on a live? I have never once responded. You know why? Because the post is irrelevant. And I wouldn't give them relevance by responding. That's how you treat irrelevance, not by coming on my show and commenting. Shows how relevant I am. But I always say, Don't come at me, rebut what I said. So, for example, I gave a history of what happened after elections from 2005. Doug Howard, someone I know and worked with while I was in the US, said I'm not telling the truth. Contradict me, Doug. Deal with the substance of my presentation. And tell them and me where I'm wrong. Tell them that people didn't go and camp out and harass to the point where Sister Finley's Club had to have police protection after the election. Tell me that they didn't go to Layu at the recount with a mob after the elections. Tell me that Frank De Silva and Patrice and others didn't go and harass Rodney Adams and a ring bell in the face when he was coming to work. Tell me, Doug. Tell me none of those things happened, Doug. And then conversely point out to me where that happened since the NDP won the last elections. As I said, grace can be given. Grace can be given. Give me some grace. But you're not in no position to demand grace because you never gave it. As a matter of fact, you gave the opposite of grace. You never accepted and you fought it vigorously even though you knew you lost. So let's talk about the atmosphere now. Somebody said to me, and it was in that conversation I decided to make that a presentation, because somebody said, you know, the place just feel light after elections. Since elections, the place just feel light. It's like everybody has gone about their business normally. No road blocking, no chance of thief, just an acceptance of the results, and we move on. And I thought, wait, that's true. That's true. I mean, Labour supporters like myself express shock, surprise, 14-1. Wow, I didn't see that. I mean, one comrade said to me today, I was bracing for a possible loss, but not 14-1. And I agreed. Elections are one the day, and it could go anyway. And of course, we could have lost the elections. But 14-1, didn't see that. And so, comrades are speaking about the gravity of the loss and how bad it was and how do we rebuild. And the place is just light. Because there's an acceptance of the results. And St. Vincent de Grenadines is moving on. I'm not getting into issue of threats and so on. The opposition will deal with that. They will deal with those things officially. If something is brought to my attention, I can speak to it. But those things will be dealt with officially by the opposition, by Dr. Gonzalez, leader of the opposition, and his senators whenever they are appointed. Dr. Gonzalez made some comments about the construction of the portfolios or the alignment, whichever word you want to use. Apparently, a man who's been Prime Minister for 24 years is out of place and out of order to comment. How is it that it is all of a sudden out of order for anybody to comment on what the New Democratic Party is doing? Is that where we are now? You comment and criticize all you wanted, but now you're in government, it's out of place, it's out of order. Why don't you shut him out or shut up or whatever you want to say? Well, nobody's going to shut me up, I can tell you that. Nobody's going to shut me up. And in the same way, when I called on Boom on mornings, there was somebody called me, and the person lives in New York, a good friend of mine. Person said, Sehon, why not on Boom anymore? Why not on Boom anymore? I said, I'm taking a break. I have to think about myself going forward. Now, the elections are over. I'm a young barrister. I'm a young lawyer. Not young in age, but young in the profession. I have to focus on getting called to the bar in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and establishing a practice. So I have to focus on getting that together. But I say, man, listen, I don't even listen to Boom anymore. It's boring. You see, because at least when you call, after you call, every single call after that was cussing you. I didn't even know that, to be quite frank, because as I always said to Bing, and I would say when I go to Star, once I'm done with Bing, I go straight to Star Radio. So I don't get to hear the rest of the program. You see, but now it's boring. We need you back on Boom. But I see, I have other things to focus on. At least for now, I have Uplift with Sehon Marshall, my show, where I can say whatever I want, frame things however I want to frame them, without anybody calling me, because I have no editor to tell me what to say or what not to say. And I like that. I like that. Now, going forward, I'm going to get some, yes. Going forward, I expect a vigorous opposition to this government. I expect that Dr. Gonzalez and his parliamentary colleagues would hold the feet of the opposition to the fire. Call public accounts committee meetings. I'm not interested in wild allegations being thrown out about corruption here and there, because there are processes within government to address these things. Call meetings of the public accounts committee. Interview who you need to interview. Have documents brought. I saw a comment. I saw a comment where someone was questioning the fact that Dr. Gonzalez said that up to Friday, they had not met with the Prime Minister, the government had not met with the head of Braxa. And the question was, oh, how he don't know about the meet? That means people talking. You need to get rid of them. Hold on. You all realize that the only reason Shallow got files was because people in the government was giving them files. Hey, prepare to have files leaked to the opposition in the same way. You got them. I'm preparing you now. Dr. Gonzalez didn't do it, so I can prepare all you. Everything that you benefited from while you were in opposition, expect it now. Y'all can't fire everybody who y'all think supported Labour. Y'all can't send everybody y'all think supported Labour and Baliso. So in the same way, people got files, people got information while you were in opposition and Labour was in government. The tables are turned. The tables have turned. No, you're ready to weed out everybody. You're pointing out everybody. Oh, they're talking and they're undermining. But when you were in opposition and you were the recipient of those blackbirds dropping things on your lap, that was okay, because that's democracy. I know many will have a difficult time adjusting to life in government. Many will have a difficult time adjusting to life in government, because you would realize that it's all cyclical. I have heard comments, Labour dead. And I've made the point numerous times, and I heard Dr. Gonzalez make it on Saturday. Labour lost all 15 seats already. All 15. Not 14. All 15. And they came back and ran the country for 24 years. And when Labour lost all 15 seats in 89, Labour was not as organized as it is now. Even if you think Dr. Gonzalez is old or whatever you think about him, he's still one of the most knowledgeable political brains and minds in the region. And whatever happens, he is essential to Labour Party going forward. Essential. And there are good young candidates and other people who are coming up who would carry it on. But it's cyclical. Cato ran, and he was there from 76 to 84. He lost. Mitchell was there from 84 to 2001. He lost, NDP. Ralph was there from 2001 to 2025. He lost. Y'all think that NDP going to be there forever? And that's interesting, since one of the things I heard was one party been in government for so long, something wrong with that. Something was wrong with one party being in government for 24 years, but apparently now Labour died, so NDP go rule perpetually. And that's okay. It's cyclical. Parties rise up and parties fall. It's a cycle. And the New Democratic Party would enjoy its time in office, or would have its time in office, whether or not it's enjoyable is a matter for them. It will have its time in office. And then, when the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are ready, they'll move them. That's it. So I say, democracy is alive and well. So the question I ask now is, what does a 14-1 mandate mean? What does it mean? And what does giving this government, New Democratic Party government, led by Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday, what does it mean to be given the opportunity to govern? Does it mean giving them a pass? Not holding them accountable to what they said? Does it mean going, well, it took Ralph 5 years to do it, so there not if it take Godwin Friday 7? Does it mean going, well, Labour used to do it too, so why are you talking now that NDP doing it? What does it mean to allow them to govern? There are fundamental policies that this government, well, let me put it differently. There are, when Labour came into office, they came with some fundamental big ticket promises. International airport, education revolution, housing revolution, health revolution, and so forth, revolution. And having been voted out of office, they are leaving with a strong education system, an education revolution that has educated tens of thousands of Vincentians, right up to secondary private university level. A strong housing revolution that has given housing, lands, title to tens of thousands of Vincentians. Young people and professionals are able to buy their own homes at relatively young ages. You have the airport, international airport constructed. You have the bridge over Abaca constructed. I mean, this country is everything is just laid out there for this new administration to run and govern. And I hope they do. I wish them well. I wish them well. I have criticized the NDP on many occasions, stating the NDP's attitude is that they do not care if St. Vincent fails, if that is the only way that the NDP could succeed. That their success must be, they don't care if their success is at the expense of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'd be a hypocrite if I turn around now and not wish them well. Because my hope is that if the New Democratic Party does well in government, St. Vincent and the Grenadines would do well. And I want St. Vincent and the Grenadines to do well. But keep in mind that Vincentians, the same people who voted you in, with about 37,000 votes, 57% of the votes, they're there. They're waiting. They are expecting. The young people who knew nothing but labor, who I tried and others tried to say, look, this is what NDP did while they were in office. I was told by individuals like Doug Howard, we're going back there far. We're going back 40 years. Well, sometimes people want their own experience. And so, people like my daughter, 24-year-old Sarah, who was born a few months after the Unity Labour Party took office in 2001, will have her experience of the Democratic Party. And she could then turn around and say to me, Daddy, this is what I'm voting and here's why. The young people who over the last 2-3 years, doing their studies online or where have you, have been given tuition assistance every single year just by applying because they're giving everybody. Everybody. Last year it was 2,500 students, just under 2,500 students. They would now be able to compare what the focus on education looks like. Because come September, all 2,500 plus the new ones are going to expect their tuition assistance. And now, I wouldn't have to tell them how NDP prioritizes education. They'd have their own experience. They would either be able to say, hold on, what do you mean I can't get it and you could only give 500? But last year, Labour gave 2,500, the year before they gave 1,800. They found the money. Or, you see, NDP has delivered as promised. They say they're going to give we, Labour is giving, them giving we. They prioritize in education too. What would their story be? What would their stories be? They have been given a chance to govern. I saw something, and this, I'm reading comments here. I'm not even sure what. Yeah. Anyway, I saw a release recently. Well, tonight, and I got the audio of the Minister of Education, the Honorable Philip Jackson, telling teachers, public servants, to report to their work. But I want to share something with you. Because maybe his husband is a lawyer, right? Apaidi. Let's go here. Maybe his husband is a lawyer. Hold a second. Let me really give you. I should have saved it, you know. I should have saved it. I should have saved it. But I'm going to get it just now. It said, I want to read it for you. right? Because it was a groundbreaking. What I'm sure it was NBC Radio, but I didn't save it. Yes, here it is. Here it is. I want to read this for you. We're coming to the end of the program. Because when we come again and says interpretation, the release says that Philip Jackson declared that teachers previously dismissed under the COVID-19 vaccine mandate can return to their schools with full confidence. Where's the release? There's a release. Where's the release? Where's the release? Where's the release? I wanted to read the actual release because it's important what the release says. It's important what the release says, but I'm not seeing the release. But I made a note. I made a note. It says the teachers must return to work or will return to work under existing laws, regulations, and policy pronouncements. Has the new government changed any laws relating to the public service or teaching service yet? Has there been a change of regulations regarding the public service or the teaching service yet? So by existing laws, what does it mean? The same laws that existed before NDP1, not true? So you're going back to work. Of course, I'm waiting to hear the further pronouncements and announcements. You're going back to work under the same laws that Ralph Gonsalves on Labour was telling you to go back to work under. You're going back to work under the same regulations that Ralph Gonsalves on Labour was telling you to go back under. But they might tell you, well, we didn't say X or we didn't say Y. It's probably your misinterpretation, but that's not what we meant. I await. Congratulations to you teachers who would show up to work, and public servants and nurses, police officers who would show up to work under the existing laws, regulations, and policy pronouncements of the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines. And with that, we've come to the end of another exciting program of Up Late with Sehon Marshall. I want to thank all those of you who logged on to be part of this program. Thank you for joining me. And please continue to share the live and continue to encourage individuals to log on. You are the primary reason I do this. And so I thank you for your support until next Thursday, God's willing, when I'm back with you with another edition of Up Late with Sehon Marshall. This is me saying, have yourself a blessed night and see you next week. God bless.